Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a future that a lot of experts are starting to take very, very seriously. We're talking about a world where AI could lead to 80% unemployment, completely rewriting the rules of our economy, and, well, pretty much everything else.
So, this quote from Stephen Bartlett, it's meant to be a bit of a shock, right? His point is that we're all wrapped up in these immediate political dramas, but we might be completely missing the technological tsunami that's about to hit, one that could make all our current debates seem, well, pretty small in comparison.
All right, so let's start with the big one, how automation is already moving from just an idea to a reality. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is about real, common jobs getting automated right now.
To really get your head around the scale of this, just think about this one fact. Driving, in all its forms, trucks, taxis, delivery vans, is the single biggest job on the entire planet. It's the engine that moves our whole world, and it supports millions and millions of families.
And that engine, well, it's already starting to change. This isn't some prediction for 2050. Waymo, which is owned by Google's parent company, has already announced they're launching in London. The tech to automate the world's #1 job isn't coming. It's here.
Okay, so automating one profession is disruptive. But what happens when you zoom out? What happens when this scales from individual jobs to entire countries? Well, it could completely reshape the global economy, leading to something people are now calling client states.
And that brings us to this really key idea, the client state. In this new world, a client state isn't dependent on another country for, military aid or oil. It's dependent on their AI. It's a country where the human workforce just can't compete with the cost and efficiency of robots and algorithms that were built somewhere else.
And look, this isn't some fringe theory. AI pioneer Stuart Russell puts it about as bluntly as you can. He's saying, if a handful of companies, probably in one country, create a true artificial general intelligence, an AGI, they could make stuff so cheap that no other country's human-based economy could possibly keep up.
So this slide basically lays out the brutal choice that countries might be facing pretty soon. On one side, you stick with your human labor force. Your products cost more, but you control your own destiny. On the other side, you get flooded with super cheap AI-made goods, but that leads to massive unemployment and you become totally dependent. It really makes you wonder, which path would your government, or even you as a consumer, actually choose?
So you can see why this all feeds into this huge narrative of a global AI race. The story we usually hear is that it's this mad dash between the US and China. Whoever gets to AGI first gets to run the world, and everyone else becomes a client state. But the real story might be a little more complicated than that.
This is a story you hear everywhere, right? This quote is from the CEO of NVIDIA, the company literally building the chips for this revolution. His message is loud and clear. China is on track to win, and the West is about to get left in the dust.
And yeah, if you look at the numbers, you can see why people think that. This chart shows it all. When it comes to just the sheer volume of AI research papers being published, China is absolutely dwarfing the United States. On the surface, it looks like a blowout.
But here's where it gets really interesting. According to an expert like Stuart Russell, this whole race story is a huge misreading of the situation. He argues we're not really understanding what the different players actually want.
See, here's the fundamental difference. China's AI rules are, believe it or not, really strict. Their main goal seems to be spreading AI throughout their economy to make it more productive. They're not just obsessed with being first to AGI. The US, on the other hand, has literally used the word dominant in its official AI policy. It seems like one is trying to build an economy while the other is trying to win a race.
So, okay, if this isn't just about one country winning, then what's the ultimate endgame here? What's the real impact on people, on us, no matter who builds this stuff first?
80%. That's the number some analysts believe governments are now quietly staring down. We're not talking about a few points of unemployment in a recession. We're talking about a permanent structural change where the vast majority of people are no longer needed for their labor.
And that's the real crisis, isn't it? We have no idea how to run a society where most people don't work. Seriously, think about it. How do you find purpose? How is money distributed? How does a government even collect taxes? We just don't have answers to these questions. And the really scary part is the speed. The CEO of Google DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, points out that the Industrial Revolution played out over about 80 years. This new revolution is expected to be 10 times bigger and happen 10 times faster. We have so little time to prepare.
And look, if you think this is all just theory, you're not paying attention. Just look at Amazon. It's using AI to replace white-collar managers. It has public plans to automate hundreds of thousands of blue-collar warehouse jobs. And it's already cutting thousands of corporate jobs, specifically to pour more money into AI. The hollowing out isn't coming, it's already started.
Which brings us to the final, and honestly, the most baffling part of this whole thing. If we can all see this giant economic cliff up ahead, why does it feel like we're all just running faster towards it?
It all comes down to this massive mismatch, right? The technology is moving at an exponential speed, but our institutions, our schools, our economic models, our laws, they change at a snail's pace. Is there any way that can possibly catch up in time?
I mean, look at this timeline. It's almost funny if it wasn't so scary. It took Oxford University 125 years just to approve a geography degree. We might need to reinvent our entire society in the next 1 or 2 decades. The math just doesn't add up.
Stuart Russell just nails it with this analogy. He says it's like we're all in a race where everyone knows the finish line is a cliff, but the pressure to win is so intense that nobody is willing to be the first one to hit the brakes.
And that's really the question we're left with, isn't it? We can all see the edge of the cliff getting closer. We all know what's at stake. The real question isn't whether the tech will get here. The real question is whether we'll find a reason to stop running before we all go over the edge together.